Freedom. Later on, No Tomorrow and Superstars to round out the day. So, again, Dignitas and Synergy. I think Synergy can go into this matchup understanding that they are the underdog, which should give them some room to breathe a little bit here. When you're the underdog, there are no expectations, but this is a team that has played incredibly aggressive throughout their matches, and they've been dominating. In fact, I just want to hear their thoughts on the matchup right now.
How I feel about them is I'm not really sure what to expect. I feel like they're kind of like the 8th place team that managed to squeeze in. I'm not sure if they're able to perform much higher than that. Sebka, for example, has been on a series of teams throughout the last year where he's always kind of almost found success, but he's always kind of not just made it. And I feel like this might be another case where they just don't have the players or the names or even the, necessarily the teamwork to be able to push their way from above the 7th, 8th placing.
Dignitas хорошая команда, мне она нравится, но на самом деле я думаю, что сейчас из-за того, что они сделали замену, возможно, у них будут проблемы. Время покажет, как Зеля заиграет в новом составе, как его примут игроки. Будет видно через пару месяцев.
It really feels like my time to come alive, so I'm going to be the biggest tryout of my life.
Зеля очень специфичный игрок, потому что очень много он играл до этого не в моба-игры, и он играл в World of Warcraft, играл именно в PvP, то есть это агрессивный стиль игры, ему это передалось в моба. К сожалению, для него это не работало изначально, потому что он думает, что он король этой игры. Его за это очень сильно наказывают, как правило, всю команду в целом, потому что это ходс.
Synergy and Dignitas facing off. I know in particular, I'm excited to see more Sebka. This is a guy that's been around for a while, and he's played almost every single role, it seems like, for every professional team that he's been on. But he's really becoming his own leader, and now a strong support player. He was outstanding last week. Yep. We saw great Ariel play from him.
Yeah, definitely. He comes in to week 2 as, especially on our first day, of course, as the leader of a team that is the only team to actually win in week 1. Sebka has been around for the longest time. I can think back to when we had Virtus Pro going up against the Korean team. The very first time we saw Europe clash with Korea, didn't go quite too well. It didn't go too well at all, but he has been a leader throughout every single one of his teams, and it kind of, to not have too much of a pun here, it's synergized very well to the point where they're actually a good roster here. Yeah. So this could go all right, but again, they're going up against a powerhouse.
Yeah, a growing team that has some strengths that we'll see grow over the next few weeks. But let's look at our battlegrounds. Where are we going today? What's been banned out? Here we are. So the bans for today in our 9-map pool will be Warhead Junction and Infernal Shrines. So Synergy has banned out Infernal Shrines, Dignitas banning out Warhead Junction, and the top right, Synergy with the first pick, and they'll be moving into Cursed Hollow, which is an interesting pick for them. I feel like this is a team that naturally comes together. In fact, in week 1, it's a small sample size, but every single kill they had, 4.5 of their teammates were there no matter what throughout the entire average of the entire weekend. So they like to group up, naturally, get in the face of their opponents and really bring in those kills. But Cursed Hollow is a more expanded map. You're going to spread out more often.
I'm not surprised that Synergy has picked Cursed Hollow as their first map. It feels like when they were going up against their previous opponents in week number 1, this was probably the map that they showed most assertion towards their opponents on. They showed most pressure and felt most comfortable. So I'm excited to see how they're going to do here against Dignitas on this map.
Well, on the other side, Dignitas has got to be ready for this aggressive pressure coming their way. The draft is ready to go, so let's get started here in the Heroes Global Championship Europe, week number 2, game number 1 of day number 1 of week 2. Cursed Hollow. Here it is. So our ban phase will now begin. Now, I do want to talk about it a little bit. Last week, Dignitas seemed a little bit off on the meta. Granted, they were the first series of the HGC, literally the first. And they face off against Misfits. They didn't ban out Tassadar or Rhaegar very often. They started to mix it up towards the second and third game of the series, but I want to see if they adapt a bit here in the draft phase. Ragnarok is obviously a high contest point for our teams.
Yeah, I think it's important to note as well, we are still playing on the previous patch, not the current live one.
That's correct. So no Valeera,
Yeah.
no reworked Tassadar. Everything you saw last week will be played this week as well. Dignitas going for their standard Falstad pickup. This is a hero that they prioritized heavily last week. It was Malfurion, Falstad, and Li Ming. They always seem to go for those three when they got the chance in their first couple picks.
Yeah, and when we saw, as you said, the Malfurion being high priority for Team Dignitas, it felt like synergy with Sevka. Sevka had more of a deeper support pool to bring to this level than a lot of the supports that we saw in the European scene. So I don't think that Synergy needs to go down the route of a support unless they want to take something like the Malfurion away from Team Dignitas.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Unless Tassadar is available, they don't really need to go that route. Again, a note, Tassadar did have a 100% pick/ban rate last week.
Yes.
He also had a 100% win rate in the 12 games that he was in between North America and Europe. So he is definitely a hero that you will see banned often or picked up. Now, they did get Artanis, which I'm excited for. Second pick was Tychus, but Artanis is a hero that I love to death. I love all his capabilities, but we missed out on some really strong Artanis play last week. I felt like every time Artanis was picked in the rotation, they were always behind and were forced into scenarios where they had to get those wins here. With Synergy being a team that's all about aggression, I see Artanis working out for them.
Yeah, it could. I think we'll probably end up seeing Hydra on that. He's been a good Artanis in the past. We didn't get to see as much in the European scene as in the NA scene.
That's true.
And in fact, a lot of bans in North America coming out for him, whereas EU didn't, I suppose, respect it as much.
Yeah.
We're seeing ETC and Malfurion coming in. So very, very standard picks, very safe composition that we're seeing here from Team Dignitas.
I am wondering with Dignitas going into the ETC here, one, it's a great counter against Artanis. You're able to break his Blade Dash with that knockback that ETC has, but you also have the counter engage in case Artanis does get the swap that allows for the team to set up. ETC can then power slide in and force a team fight. There's a Malfurion. We've been seeing that a priority pick for Dignitas very often. Bakery and the rest of the team just on point with that hero. I am wondering if they're trying to get out a bait of the Ariel pick. Ariel is a hero that does relatively well against ETC with the Detainment Strike, so Synergy could go down that route, and we've seen it in the past last week.
I kind of like the support control that we're seeing here from Team Dignitas, not only in Malfurion, but also banning out Rhaegar.
Yeah.
Because Sevka's one of those supports that you don't see on Brightwing as much, and with the supports that are left available to Team Synergy, I would say that Brightwing's probably one of the better ones for this map.
Yeah, and I would argue, because he's one of the shot callers, one of the leaders, Brightwing is a hero that's kind of hard to control the map from, and tell your team to go for shot calls. You'd rather be right next to your teammate when you're calling for those calls.
Yeah.
So it could be harder for them to go that Brightwing route. So yeah, I think I agree with you. The control here from Dignitas in the draft is pretty solid, and it's a great theory.
Yeah, it's cool to see. They got this basically off the fact that they did have that first pick, and now they do have that because they had 3 before the ban. And now, I guess they're just compromising about what they want to do here. Do they want to go down the route of, say, like Karazima and Ariel, or do they want to pick up another damage dealer?
Ragnaros is still available, so there's the Brightwing. So there she is. I am wondering what Sir Ice Cream is going to play. Normally he goes for the Falstad, but Falstad being taken by Dignitas here is kind of hurting the pick a little bit, and Ragnaros is still floating around for both these teams to pick up. I see the potential for Dignitas to get him here. They have the setup potential into the Saphira Smash that we've seen over and over again in the last couple weeks of the HGC. So they also need to find maybe a little bit more damage here. They just have Falstad, and that's it.
Yeah, so it usually, more times than not, Falstad would end up on Snitch, unless in these 2 picks they pick up something a little bit crazy, like an Abatha comes into play or something like that, and then at that point, then you would see Snitch on that, and you know, Mene going over towards the Falstad. But so what we were mentioning before about the support kind of choking to Brightwing is interesting, because now Sevka, I feel, is on a support that he's not as strong on, but again, you have to accommodate for these kinds of things on the map. You have to for Cursed Hollow.
Yeah, gotta agree that the global's gonna be strong. So there's Ragnaros, there's Zeratul. So they get some solid engage here. And there's the instant Medivh pick here from Synergy, and they've ran double support pretty often in the past. Okay, so right away, first thoughts here. I think Synergy has a really strong front line with Artanis and Muradin.
Yep.
They get isolation. Tychus is maybe going to have a hard time getting off the damage that he would like. Positioning is going to have to be key for that, but the Medivh is definitely going to be the one here to set up the engages for Dignitas.
Yes. And I kind of like the Medivh now with the Brightwing or I like the Medivh now with the Brightwing more. Like, the fact that, you know, Brightwing is there, it doesn't quite have the bursty healing that you need against a team like Team Dignitas, who are all about combos. Very much so about combos. That Zeratul Ragnaros lock-in towards the end, you've got your Void Prism into your Sulfura Smash. Very, very powerful. But Medivh, hopefully for him, he can negate a little bit of that. We'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, I gotta agree. And then just looking at Dignitas, they do have their engages. They do have the way to get rid of a fight if it's not going out to them with the false stat and the Mighty Gust. Overall, their team seems a little bit more rounded out, where Synergy is kind of banking on getting the hard engage by either Muradin or Artanis, and if that misses out, Tychus will have a hard time working his way into these fights, especially if Medivh can't quite get those portals off that ETC can control. And they have Malfurion, too, as a soft counter, the root, right? So it's going to be a bit of a mix-up. It's going to come down to some slight timings with cooldowns, but again, it's Cursed Hollow. Anything goes here on this battleground.
I think before we do get into this game, though, we need to kind of emphasize the position that Team Dignitas is in a little bit, because they lost their first series throughout HGC. And, of course, it was against Misfits, which, you know, it's not too surprising, but this second week for them is very important. They have 2 series to play throughout the week here. And going up against Team Synergy to start things off, I feel Dignitas needs a win here, needs a series win. They're the big favorite to win, but they need it, because if they don't, if they go 2 series down, things could look difficult.
Yeah, but suddenly people are going, are Dignitas kind of washed up? They definitely need to take away this series, especially against a team that most would believe they're going to beat out. It looks like we are ready to go into the game. So Cursed Hollow here, Synergy taking on Dignitas. Game number 1, week 2 of the HGC. Get pumped.
All right, time to get into this on Cursed Hollow, as we do have to the left-hand side. It is, of course, Team Synergy. We will have Sevka playing Brightwing, going to be Neon on the Medivh, looking out for him, see how he's going to play. Power of Dreams is on Muradin, and next up we will have Sir Ice Cream playing Tychus, and finally, to round things out, it's Hydra going to be playing on the Artanis.
We're going to have to keep an eye on the Hydra, man. He is a fantastic player for Synergy. On the right, Dignitas hero Zelia. Here is Bakery pulling out the Malfurion. We've seen him there before. JPL with the ETC. Another comfort pick for Dignitas. Mane with the fall stat. Snitch is going to be playing Ragnaros. And then last but not least, Zelia, the player that everyone is watching right now to see how he melds here with this entire team. And last week, I felt like he did a good job.
Yeah, he didn't do too badly, given the circumstances in the team he was against. And now we get to see them playing a composition that I'm feeling a little bit more better for Team Dignitas.
Yeah, gotta agree with you. So, keys to the game, I think really Synergy just needs to embrace that they are the underdog here. We've talked about it over and over again. Play their game. Don't worry if it doesn't work out for you. Make revisions afterwards. Play the best that you can here. Learn from it and use it to move forward. Because after this, they have to take on Fnatic and Misfits. Fnatic on Sunday, Misfits next week. They probably have the hardest 3-game series in terms of just a pathway than any other team in the game.
Well, you can already see here that Synergy was applying quite a bit of pressure down to the bottom lane. This is going to force a respect. I feel that Zeratul has to come and threaten a little bit on this lane, or somebody has to threaten at least to actually stop the tide there, because that could be very hard for a solo Ragnaros. And the problem for him is, well, they're going to come in here and try and get themselves a first kill on towards Muradin. Can Power of Dreams go down? Doesn't look like he will. Forcing the deny there, jumping away. Don't think they can get it. But what I wanted to say was, sorry I'm going on for so long.
No, talk, man.
Is that this 3-man against Ragnaros at the beginning is very strong, very good, because that denies a lot of the Q stacking early on from a Ragnaros, which is why Dignitas also had to make it the rotation.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do like how Dignitas responded, though. They lost the tower, brought down a 3 gank, and then they had the layered aggression of Zeratul. After Muradin went through the entire pressure that came his way, Synergy thought, okay, we can continue this fight. We're good to go. Muradin get burst down. Zeratul came in. Although JPL goes for the power side, Sir Ice Cream is in trouble. Will get some damage on him. Does he get away? Not quite, as Sevka is able to guide his Tychus back to base.
I feel like Synergy is a little bit lucky in that regard. I mean, Zeratul did show towards mid, yes, but about 5 or 6 seconds into that fight, he was gone. So Sir Ice Cream was very, very low there and could have easily been ganked if there would have been a quicker rotation. But that's JPL going down as first blood there. A very unusual little outcome there for Team Dignitas and Synergy. Nice start.
There it goes. The Snitch seems to be the focus as well. Another engage once again. The ammo is kind of taken away from this turret. Only one shot left. With the tribute now spawning, Hydra has advanced to grab the first tribute in the top right corner. Murden and Tychus for a second there thought about rotating, but decides to pull back. In fact, they're faking the rotation here.
Yeah.
Snitch needs to play passive, and he realizes it. He didn't see them in the middle lane, so he sits in the bush and he passively soaks.
If he goes anywhere beyond the north part of that bush, I think he dies. And Murden's actually going to try and come in for this. Jumping in, trying to get a Storm Bolt. Looks like he will go down. It's as easy as that. Small little things. Yes, Team Dignitas got themselves the tribute, but the first one doesn't matter that much when so much experience on that bottom lane is going over to Team Synergy.
Something to know, it really seems like Synergy is trying to focus a lot of their attention on the lane that Snitch is in. It has been stated in the past that Snitch is a little prone to tilt if he dies a couple times in the early game, and he can kind of fall apart a little bit, and the team kind of has to come back together and get him back onto really the path to victory. So Synergy trying to exploit that here. Another gank in the bottom left. Zelia goes in for the engage. Sir Ice Cream under half HP. JPL, though, tanking a little bit too much here as Murden is forcing him to retreat.
I mean, it kind of comes back to what we were saying at the beginning, which is, as much as Synergy, yes, is probably the underdog for a lot of people, like a lot of Europeans, a lot of spectators out there, this did feel like their best map in their previous series in week 1, and they're showing it here, Trixler. So this could be a very good little start for them momentum-wise.
Gotta agree with you. They just need to start getting on the scoreboard in terms of tributes here.
Yep.
Dignitas is up 1-3. The tribute spawn now is in a great spot for Synergy to set up. We've already got pressure on the bottom lane. We have 3 members here. The question is whether or not Artanis is going to rotate. Artanis is electing to stay in the top lane, which is good for Synergy if Fawcett decides not to leave. Dignitas all 4 moving down the bottom right. They already have a concave set up here. Is Synergy just going to give this up? Neon coming in for the Ras. He does miss, though. It will not connect, and that's painful.
Sorry, Neon. Not even that one little extra Master's Touch stack, unfortunately for you, as they're going to try and go in here on towards Bakery. That's a great little switch by Hydra, as Bakery will fall. What a brilliant Artanis play to set that up.
Yeah, wonderful phase prism there. And Malfurion's going to be one of the main targets. He doesn't have the escapes like the rest. JPL, though, now taking damage as well. Sir Ice Cream going for the chase. JPL actually running to the base of Synergy here to buy time. Willpower slide back. Neon, though, with the Master's Touch getting 1 proc there. The boss will go for the last hit there, and that will be a kill on JPL.
That was quite a bit of dedication for an ETC kill, but, I mean, overall, they're capitalizing off it nice. There's not much that they can do to try and challenge this boss. Unfortunately for Team Dignitas, they haven't sniffed it out, so they haven't tried to go for theirs in turn, which does hurt them a little bit here, considering that 10's approaching now for Synergy.
This is one of my favorite things to do with an Artanis is that you get the ability to deal with a boss early, especially after picking off the JPL there. So they just go straight for it. Artanis can tank through, especially with the passive heals of Sefka.
The thing that's super scary about that is that normally when you're the team behind on Cursed Hollow, you're the one, in terms of experience, you're the team that tries to sneak a boss to catch up a little bit, but Synergy is ahead in experience and snuck a boss, well, snuck in inverted commas, during all of that. And now they're going to try and challenge for these tributes. Dignitas might be a little bit wary about sticking around here for too long. That's Malfurion once again caught in. Brilliant plays coming out.
Nice play by Zelia, though. He does catch the Medivh on the back there as he portals back. Is taking him out, so a 1-for-1 trade, but the problem is Synergy hits level 10. With Odin being popped, Dignitas is forced to get rid of this tribute, and now it will be a 2-1 advantage for Dignitas, but finally Synergy on the scoreboard, and that boss is already on the keep wall in the bottom right, hitting the turrets, starting to get that aggression going already.
Yeah, it goes to show the level of Europe and how much it's increased so much from the end of 2016 now through to 2017, seeing how they're playing. Here comes the attack towards the top here. They do have level 10s. Mosh Pit attempted here. A cleanse will go on towards Muradin. He wants to try and stop him, but that's going to be Hydra almost falling. Shields pop. He's staying alive for a little longer, but that's a double kill.
Nice heads-up play there by JPL, realizing that Polymorph had already been used. Power will be taken out, and now with the level 10 hitting here for Dignitas, they show that they can fight in these team fights with these heroics, and they immediately beeline for their own boss, looking for redemption here after that slightly rough early game.
It was the perfect play to get them back in it, right? Kind of felt that way.
Yeah, it was, definitely.
They had to do something there. They had to try and make something happen. Neon's going to have a little look around. I don't think he's going to pull a Zuna.
For North America.
Sorry,
Neon
guys.
is set up here. He could do a Leyline Seal, but immediately Dignitas does a great job and spreads out in 4 different locations. So a Leyline Seal can't come through. However, Synergy will take the consolation prize of grabbing the tribute in the bottom left. It is now tied 2-2, and I think overall, this is actually a good advantage for Synergy. They can defend the boss in the top lane. They got a tribute here. They have breathing room for the next 30 seconds.
Yeah, yeah. As a disclaimer, Zunar, I love you. But anyway, he'll beat me up next time he sees me. I don't want to be beaten up.
Oh my gosh, the violence against casters here.
No, he's stronger than me. But anyway, Hydra going to try and clean up this boss up towards the top. And that puts Dignitas back, you know, in the driving seat. At least now they can push themselves towards 13, challenge for this next tribute, get themselves a curse, and I feel that they have stronger team fight later down the line, especially if they try and hit some of those combos with the Zeratul and Ragnaros follow-ups.
Yeah, I agree with you. The team fight really comes down to the Artanis engages now and the Medivh portals and where they're placed. So far, I want you guys, when you're watching fights in the future, to keep an eye on Zelia with that Zeratul. He's done a really good job of using patience to his advantage. Whenever Medivh goes in, gets a little bit of poke, he's always in the back line to receive that Medivh and take him out in the fight. So as long as he continues that trend, and if Synergy doesn't react accordingly, like leaving a tank back there to save their Medivh, we could see Dignitas taking every single team fight.
All right, so just going to getting themselves towards 13 here as Synergy as well. They caught up a little bit of experience gap that was approaching there as Dignitas pushed themselves towards 13. So this is going to be an even fight by the looks of things. As Jay just going to channel for the moment. Vision from Neon.
Yeah, I like the positioning a bit more for Dignitas. They have their healer, they have their Mighty Gus in the back right, they have Zeratul for flanks in the bottom left, and they have Ragnaros set up for multi-core. So in terms of delaying this, they're in a good spot. The problem is Synergy grabbed Giants in the top left, which can keep pressure. So it's going to be all about who gets to 13 here and then who starts the engage.
All right, is Neon going to try and interrupt that? Yes, he will. Going to have to force a will and then maybe portal out. No, takes a lot of damage for that one interrupt alone. And Hydra is going to get the swap on in towards JPL. Power Dream is in there as well. Oh, but the Void Prism onto that Commandeer Odin here. And there goes the Leyline Seal. So it's kind of trade for trade. Hydra getting quite low, though. Tries to get out with the portal.
That Leyline Seal was important to prevent some mosh pit from JPL from engaging. But here's a Saphira smash! And suddenly, Artanis is destroyed here from the fight. Bakery starts the channel, and this will be a curse for Dignitas.
Artanis isn't an insect, but he'll die all the same to Ragnaros, poor little fella, and that's painful. Like just the range you can get if you time your Sulfura smash right.
Yeah.
God, you can do so much. It's such a playmaker.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's why he's valued so heavily.
Yeah.
Q build and Saphira smash are just wonderful finishers in team fights. Fort in the middle, taken out here right away for Dignitas. Murden is going to take a little bit of a knockback here. Power will get the cleanse from Sepka. There goes the mosh pit. Bit of a miss there from JPL, but I can see why he went for it. However, it is not going to be available now for the next 110 seconds.
Yeah, just pushing these guys back for the moment, getting some value here and there. An attempt for the dash swap here from Hydra doesn't quite catch anything, and looks like Dignitas will back off and get themselves in a really comfortable spot. So they've regained control of the situation. The entire game, they have regained control. And unless we see, I feel, Neon just landing the perfect force of wills here, we're going to see all those combos coming out from Team Dignitas, and they're going to synergize well with them. That is what their team is about. Finding those wombo combos, hitting them, and they're probably one of the most accurate teams in Europe at it.
Yeah, they're looking for the delete button and then get to a 5v4, and from there, Falstad and such can start to really dictate the fight. Synergy on the other side, they just need to hold here. Get to a situation here where they have their lanes pushing out, because right now Dignitas is just pushing them in. And Hydra keeps going for these really aggressive god swaps, is what we call them here in the community. And he's just not quite hitting them. I would love to see maybe just more of a blade dash into an E, get to the middle of the fight, and then just rely on your Medivh to save you from the full engage, because he's going too heavily on these swaps, and Dignitas is obviously trained to dodge them.
Yep, they're doing well with that. And then they do have, you know, again, those counter potentials to deal with it. As you said, the roots can hurt Hydra here if he's not careful. Going to move in again there. Attempt at a swap on towards JPL. Doesn't quite catch it. But roots were set up in between the two locations, as you could see. So it could have, like, limited a little bit of that potential.
Okay, next tribute will be spawning soon here. Hydra once again continuing this. And I'm just watching Synergy, and I'm not seeing any movement. It's all Hydra right now. They're heavily baking it on him to hit these combos. I wouldn't mind seeing Murden to jump in there, shake things up a little bit, have Artanis go with a follow-up if a Stormbolt connects. That can be a relatively easy skill shot to hit. It all just matters on the communication. Murden has to yell it out. I'm going in. Here's a Stormbolt. Artanis, help me out.
I think the best metaphor for me to use for Synergy is they kind of like, they play like a metronome plays. Like, if that metronome gets knocked off slightly, then unfortunately, they kind of get out of tempo a little bit. If they are playing to that metronome, oh boy, are they on fire.
Yeah.
But just the slight hinge there, the slight knockoff, Dignitas has done well to knock that metronome off the point.
Claris, he's a smart man. That's such a good analogy.
I'm a musician, I can't help it.
Okay, well, Dignitas here on the other side playing their own tune, just staying together. Zeratul constantly floating around, keeping an eye on those bosses right now as he's going to the top right, just making sure nothing is happening on the map overall. He might go for a chance to jump on Brightwing if she overextended, but Sefka, realizing that, hey, there is potential for me to get picked off, does escape away. Now, Dignitas disappears from the map. Immediately, Synergy sniffs this out. Medivh pops into Raven 4, heads over to the boss.
Yeah, and they can challenge for this, so Dignitas has to be very careful now. JPL taking a lot of damage, might get stunned. He has to power slide out from the boss there, knowing that he's in a really, really precarious situation.
We need to watch Neon here. His lane line seal is going to be important. There's a Gust. He drops on it. Does Power show up? Power does come in. There's a Void Prison. The lane line seal does not connect. In fact, it got interrupted, and now Power is taken out of the fight. Dignitas keeping up with the aggression. 3 members down for Synergy.
That metronome just got knocked off the table, my friend. That was so the everything about what Dignitas just did was great. They controlled the situation so well. Not only the Gust to make sure that they weren't going to get on that quickly, but then the mosh pit into the Sulfura smash on Medivh at the back, so he didn't even use Leyline Seal during that fight.
Yeah.
He couldn't. He had no opportunity
Well,
to.
he started the animation, but it got canceled out.
Right.
Which is so unfortunate, because then again, you hit that Leyline Seal, and then you have the trade off the Void Prison. You can maybe wait for a little bit,
Yeah.
but Dignitas getting that interruption was absolutely key. Boss knocking on the front door of the top keep in the top left, while the rest of Dignitas is knocking on the keep in the middle. That will be extinguished here, and now we have catapult pressure on the map. Leyline Seal does come out. ETC is going to zone for his teammate here. Snitch is gonna be walking around at the same time. JPL power slides away, and there goes a massive force of will for the team. Can we get the swap from Hydra? Hydra now going for the pursuit, and the Mighty Gust for the disengage. Dignitas is good to go.
Yeah, so didn't actually take reabsorption at 16, which is the normal go-to for Medivh. Took the, multiple shields, depending on like the location that you actually cast it on your friends if they're close by. So technically, against AoE and the composition of Void Prism and Sulfura Smash, that could be very, very powerful for multiple members. It depends if Medivh is going to make those plays happen.
Well, it looks to me like they're trying to get Artanis and Muradin on the Ragnaros, which, again, he is great against double melee because of his Q build.
Yeah.
But now if you guys can coordinate the aggression, follow up with a Force of Will that is AoE, you negate all that damage. You also negate the healing for Ragnaros. So suddenly that could work out, but it is very timing-based. I like the pickup, ooh, but I do not like that. Medivh taken out 50 seconds away. We're going to have Odin popped as they need to win this team fight, or that will be a boss taken out, and they may lose 3 keeps.
Yeah, if you can catch Medivh off guard and then blow him up instantly. He can't get his Force of Will. You're kind of knocking him around. You can't throw down his portal for him to get away either. The perfect little synergy there, unfortunately, again, the damn name, to try and kill him off. Brightwing gets blown up. They tear him in half. And that is going to be now Power of Dream on the retreat on out. Has to get away. That's... these combos, man.
And the fall of Void Prison, Zelia showing the aggression. JPL moving forward. There goes the Mosh Pit. 2 more members for Synergy is destroyed. All 5 members down. Dignitas has their eyes on the core. They start moving forward. They'll start the aggression now. Medivh does spawn, but with Molten Core here for the extra damage, what can a little bird do? We'll see here as he tries to defend. Here is a Leyline Seal.
Not going to do much. Gusts him away as well, and that will be game number 1. Going over to Team Dignitas here to start things off for Week 2, Day 1.
So Synergy did stick with the game plan in the early game, but after 10, it just seemed like Dignitas and their composure, their teamwork, the things they've been practicing for such a long time now as an elite team just came together, and they just were in the driver's seat the entire time. Dignitas looking like they're back on form here, especially against a team that they should be looking like they're on form against.
Yeah, for teams in Europe, I think it's Team Dignitas, or as one of them, that does stand out for their team fighting and kind of the complementary abilities to one another. They were even complemented by some of the Korean teams on how well they were able to kind of get the Zeratul Jainers, the Zeratul Ragnaros now is, kind of akin to that. And it's very powerful. Unless Team Synergy can find a solution, could be difficult.
All right, well, that's going to be game number 1 between Synergy and Dignitas. We'll get ready for game number 2 and see if Synergy can come back.